The Israel-Gaza war. You might have heard this news again and again for now approximately for the 2 years. Now, we have known that Israel has launched a war after the Hamas has tried to play an attack on Israel, and when they attacked during a concert. And this war has been fought by the Israel against the Gaza and particularly against the Hamas. This has led to not only mass scale killing of innocent, but it has a deeper economic impact concerning India also. India has always maintained the principal stand that we want a two-state solution for the Gaza or the Palestine and that of Israel. And also secondly, we want a peaceful resolution of conflict between the Gaza and that of Israel. But what is the deep economic impact that has been covered in today's Indian Express, when we'll cover about the impact of Israel's Gaza war on the IMEC, that is India, Middle Eastern, Europe Economic Corridor. Through this video, we'll try to understand what were the potential benefits of this grouping and this project, what are the challenges and what are the current challenges that this project faces. Now, if you remember, the IMEC was launched with much shebang on the sidelines of the G20 summit in India. And it was touted as a major infrastructural project that would have linked India with that of the Middle Eastern countries and also with that of Europe. This was seen as this was seen basically as a linking bridge between the civilization and the continents. Now let us understand what this project was all about. This was basically the IMEC corridor that was talked about, that is now under stress. And this was basically the various rail and road network that was to be part of this project. So it was basically a multi-modal project that was envisaged between India, Israel, countries like that of Saudi, and including the countries of Europe also, with various countries like that of Italy, which made a lot of news back then because Italy decided to come out of the Chinese-led Belt and Road Initiative. So what is covered in the news article? What is the news article saying? The news article is highlighting the meeting which was chaired by the India's National Security Council Secretariat, which involved the member countries like that of France, Italy, Germany, Israel, US, UAE and Saudi Arabia, potentially discussing about the progress made under the IMEC, that is the India Middle Eastern Economic and Corridor. Now, the project had two legs. It was launched at the sidelines of G20 meeting. It has two legs. The eastern leg will carry the container traffic from India's western ports to that of UAE, from where the high-speed freight railway will carry the goods across the Arabian Peninsula, that is linking UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan up till the port of Haifa in Israel, and for which we have known that in Haifa port has been taken under by Adani Enterprises in India and has been developed as a private port in Israel. The second leg will basically connect the cargo ship from Haifa to ports in Greece and Italy, wherein the Europe's well-sped connectivity and the freight network will help Indian goods and the goods from the other countries to make inroads into the deeper territories of Europe. So IMEC was a well-planned move, which would have integrated us well with the economies of the Arabian Peninsula as well as that of the Europe, and these economies were well better connected. This would have ensured much needed economic development, would have ensured prosperity in the region, and would have decreased the instability that is primarily facing the Middle East, or what we call as the West Asia. Now, what is the problem that we are seeing today? The challenges have basically come to become fundamental with the Gaza war and wherein 61,000 people have been killed by Israel's action in Gaza. Now, this has basically strained the relationship, particularly among the countries like that of Jordan and Israel, that unlike the year 2023 are now at one of the lowest point. It has also strained the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Israel, both of which were basically facing some kind of concessions to each other. Now the Saudi-Israel normalization have also reached a ebb point. As a response to the Israel's attack, the Houthis have also planned attack on Red Sea, which have raised the insurance premium. So basically, what we can understand, that the Israel's war on Gaza has a very deeper ramification. The Israel ties with the countries around itself, that is like Jordan, which was the second country to recognize Israel, and after the Egypt, or with that of Saudi Arabia, have now seen a new low with this Israel repeated war on Gaza and disregard for the criticism coming from the international community. And then the axis of resistance that is supported by Iran in the form of Houthi rebels, which have stationed themselves in Yemen, and their consistent attack on Red Sea is also creating a problem for this project. Now let us understand, if this project would have been materialized, what was the potential benefit of the same? The economic benefit was that it will boost the trade efficiency, as it will reduce the shipping time and the shipping cost. It will reduce the shipping time from Europe to India by 40% and the cost by around 30%, making Indian exports to the European countries much more competitive, which is very beneficial for today for India, complementing the fact that US has imposed tariff on us. So we need a new market to diversify our exports, and this project would have surely helped India. It would enhance the regional trade and ensure economic integration between Asia, Arabian Gulf and that of Europe, creating seamless trade linkages. This project would have invited a lot of foreign direct investment in the areas like that of logistics, infrastructure and digital technologies. Now let me remind you that India needs close to $1 trillion of investment in infrastructure by the year 2030. So if this project was to be developed, a part of which could have come from those countries who are basically sitting on the oil economies, they would have invested in India. So the FDI investment in India in the form of logistic infrastructure could have increased. And India could also have the opportunity to showcase its digital development in the form of digital public infrastructure in these countries. Then support for manufacturing and supply chains. So the supply chain resilience would have been established. So a crisis like COVID, which basically showcased the world's dependence on China, would have been reduced. And it will also have led to the local job creation. So these were the economic benefit of the project. Now what were the other strategic benefits of the project? That it will project India as a global partner, and particularly in the regions of West Asia. Now an important geopolitical phenomena is happening in West Asia. It is believed that the US is withdrawing from the West Asia post the discovery of shale gas in its own country, and China is filling the vacuum which is being created after the withdrawal of US from this region. A testimony to the same is that China was able to broker a peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran, both of which were basically staunch enemies for each other. So through this project, it would have given India a perfect chance to position itself as a developmental partner in West Asia. Second, it would have reshaped the regional trade patterns, which would have changed the dynamics in the Indian Ocean region and the West Asian region along with the Europe. That is, what does it mean? Our dependence on the traditional routes to that of Pakistan would have reduced substantially. The traditional block routes such as those passing through Pakistan, for example, our Tapi pipeline has been stuck because of the Pakistan resistance. All these lacunae would have been overcome. We could have projected ourselves as a credible partner in front of China's Belt and Road Initiative. The countries have been wary of China because of its debt trap diplomacy that it follows under the Belt and Road Initiative. India could have positioned itself as a better trading partner. But now, when this project basically remains a non-starter, India loses this edge over the time which we are losing because of this Israel-Gaza war. Integration with other initiative, we could have linked this with other projects. For example, we already have a connectivity project with that of Russia and Central Asian countries, which we called as the International North-South Transport Corridor. We could have linked IMEC with I2U2 and then also with the IMT highway. So this would have been particularly favorable for India, where India could have a grand strategy in order to make sure that India is not encircled, to which scholars point out as the string of pearls theory of China, and also as an alternative to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. These were the potential strategic benefits that India would have got. The next is connectivity and trade enhancement. It is basically a multimodal network. So it would basically lead to the trade enhancement, which is a given. It would have two corridors, that is the eastern and the northern corridors, which will link Gulf to the Europe and will lead to better infrastructure development in the field of transport, energy and digital links. It was touted as a new Silk Route. The earlier Silk Route, over which China has now come out with the Belt and Road Initiative, this was seen as a response to the same in the form of new Silk Route, or the Silk Route of the 21st century, as the major east-west trade artery will be connected via Asia and Europe via the Middle East. And this will also would have led to regulatory harmonization, that is all the tariff and the non-tariff trade barriers that were there would have been streamlined and would have been reduced. Now, it will have alternative to the existing route, like that of overdependence on Suez Canal, or disruptions like that of Red Sea crisis would have been solved through this project. Avoidance of vulnerable choke points that are there, and strategic bypass of Pakistan and Turkey, which would have created problem for India, would have been removed through this position. And more importantly, it would have showcased India's diplomacy of what we project ourselves as a leader of Global South and that of a Vishwaguru in the form of the one sun, one world, one grid approach. We could have basically showcased it in the Arabian Peninsula region and also for the European countries. This would have increased the global footprint of India as a responsible diplomatic partner. But what are the challenges that this project is facing? We have already discussed that one challenge that the project is facing is in the form of what we have analyzed is the Israel's war on Gaza. What are the other challenges? The second challenge is that the Israel-Gaza war and the Israel-Iran tensions strengthen the project timelines. Exclusion of countries like that of Turkey and Iran and the competition with BRI basically can create tensions. Regional disputes between Greece and Turkey could affect the northern routes, and attacks like that of cyber attacks or disruption of critical choke point in the Strait of Hormuz is basically also one of the geopolitical and security challenge that we have faced. So the challenges not only is with respect to the Israel-Gaza war, but also with respect to the China's involvement, also with respect to the Turkey, the conflict between Turkey and Greece, and also with respect to the any kind of cyber attack that could have been planned or attack on a critical choke point. Then the economic hurdle that is there is the high cost, and with the global slowdown and the high cost that is involved, this project basically is facing a critical challenge. For example, creating one route under this belt, we have promised 6 routes to be created under this belt. So basically it will take a cost of $3 to $8 billion to basically create the necessary infrastructure for every single route. So this project involves a lot of costing, and where this financing mechanism will come from is basically problematic with regard to the global environment and with the need of the countries where they are focusing on the protectionist measures rather than contributing to the same. There is also funding gaps, lack of binding financial commitments under this project, which also makes sure that what will be the financial outlook of this project remains under doldrums. There are infrastructure limitations, weak economic infrastructure in parts of Arabian Peninsula is also creating a problem. Logistical implementation, for example, the regulations and the cooperation between the different nations having different political settings is also problematic. Some countries are democratic, some countries are ruled by families, some countries are more towards authoritarian. So this is also creating a problem. And one of the key things that we need to make sure that this project passes is that of the involvement of private sector. Without private sector participation, the countries won't be able to basically finance these projects under the IMEC. But the private sector will be only willing to invest if there will be peace and stability in the region. So this is also problematic that has to be seen. This is a chart that has been made, which you can refer after you have gone through the slides. These charts include all the things with regard to what is the economic benefit for India for this project, what is the connectivity and trade enhancement benefit, what is strategic importance, and what are the challenges related to the project all at one place. You can go through the same and revise the IMEC as a whole. IMEC also have a potential to be asked in the mains examination, as West Asia is one of the prominent area where the UPSC asks the question in the mains examination. I hope you now have a better understanding of what all India could have achieved and still can achieve through IMEC if India is able to steer this IMEC cooperation, and what are the challenges that India faces with respect to the Israel-Gaza war, or with respect to the countries like that of Turkey, Iran, and most importantly, that is the president of China. I hope this video has now a better understanding on IMEC. Thank you.